includes
Nesse vídeo, você vai aprender.
Hello friend, welcome back. In this video, I will start a new session. It's about WebStorageAPI. As you understand by the name as is storage. So in this session, I will discuss about that things with you, how can save all that your data in your browser, local storage and then session storage. Like if you go to your site and if you open with the inspect, into this inspect, if you go to that application and into this application, you will get these two of these storage. You can see there is one of the storage and there is a local storage and also there is another one as a session storage. So previously I have already discussed about that things with you, how can save data with the key or value in your object, right? So here you will be also able to storage your data in your local storage by the key and then value, and also you are able to storage this data in your session storage area. And we can do that work with using the JavaScript. It's very easy. I hope you like it very much. So if you're ready to learn this, let's get started. Hello friend, welcome back. In this video, I will discuss about how can add some of the data in your local storage, how can update this data, how can delete this data. Okay, step by step, everything I will cover. And make that sure you understand this section because that is very much important that you should know. Okay, like first of all, I want to access our local storage. So if you want to access this local storage in your console, into this console, because that is one of the window object. So I want to run with this window. Okay, that is a window, and if you now click as a enter, now you can see it's now display everything, and here you will get that as a local storage. You can see there is a local storage. So if you want to now access this local storage, you can actually access it by the window. Okay, I want to minimize it. Sorry, I want to minimize it. I simply minimize it, and here I want to access it with the window. Okay, there is a window and then dot local storage. Okay, so now you can see it's now if you click as enter, it's now display as storage length as a 0. So right now I don't have any data. For the reasons it's now display as a Windows storage 0. You can also directly use it as a local storage because window is the global, right? So now let's I want to insert some of the data. If you now go to our index, I make it as a clean right now, and I want to access our local storage, so that will be as a local storage. Okay, so with this keyword, now you can see they have some of the method, like they have some of the method as a set item method, which will be very important because with this we can able to insert some of the data in our this local storage area. And also there is another method as a remove item, and then the get item for get all the data. Okay, now first of all I want to run out this method as a set item method. So into this set item method, there will be passed two of this parameter. Okay, here if you put your cursor, you can see it will be passed two of this parameter as a key and that is a value, and both of these will be as a string type. You can see there is a key as a string type and value also will be as a string type. So now I want to add some of the key. I just name it as a name. Okay, here I pass on the string value as a name, and also want to pass another one as a Aryan. Okay, that is another string type. I hope friend you get some of the idea. And now if you click as a save all, and now if you go click as a refresh, okay, I make it as a refresh, and here if you now go to that Windows again, that means the window and then the local storage, local storage. If you go to that local storage, and into this local storage right now you can see they have the one length, right? The length as a 1. That means right now they have the one data, and that is our name, that is our key, and that is our value, and both of these as a string value. And if you want to pass on the numeric data, like here I copy it, okay, copy it, and then here I paste it. I pass another one as a age, and age I make it as a number type as a 40 or 50. Okay, I make it as a 50. And now that will be another string type. Here I pass it as a numeric value, but it will be changed. If you now go and I want to make it as a clean, and now refresh it, and now I want to access that again, window, that is a window, and then the local storage, click as a enter. Now you can see right now there is a length as a 2, right? That is a 2 length, and there is a age. I can see it's now display with the string type. As I told you, our key will be as a string and also value will be as a string. Right now there is age and name is visible and length as a 2. So friend, here right now we are able to add this data, right? We are able to add this data with using that set item method. And now I want to get a specific some of the key value data. So if you want to get that specific key value data, then there have the another method. I show you here. Then we have to do better. I take one of the constant variable. I make it as a age. Okay, I want to get that our age value data, so that will be in your local storage. Into the local storage, then there is another method as a get item method. So with this get item method, we are able to get this data. I want to get which things. I want to get that age. Okay, for education purpose, I want to get that our age key value data. And now if you want to check it, you can check it with the console. Okay, console, and there is a console log, and with this console log, I want to access our age. Okay, that means right now that will be print our age. If you now click as a save all, now go there, now refresh it. Okay, refresh it, and you can see it's now perfectly get that value as a 50. Right now our age value as a 50. I hope friend it's very clear. So with this get item method, you are able to access some of the key, and with this key you will get that a specific this key related value. And if you want to update it, okay, like here, if you want to update that name, there is name. If you want to update that age value, then how can do that work? You directly not able to update it in your local storage. So make that sure you remember it. So in your local storage, you cannot able to directly update it. Okay, that means directly update the value. If you want to update any value, then you have to reassign it again. Like I show you here. Right now in our local storage, into this local storage with the set item method. With the set item method, then you have to declare the key again. That's the same key name. I name it as a name. So right now you cannot able to directly update it. Only you have to replace it. So I want to replace it Aryan to the Kazi. So now that should be updated. Okay, now that should be updated. If you want to check it into the console log. Okay, into the console log area here, I want to simply pass our local storage. So there is a local storage with the get item. I want to get our which things. I want to get that our name. Okay, I want to simply get that name. And now if you now that should be here. And now if you click as a save all, and now if you go click as a refresh, now you can see it's now replaced it. Okay, it's now replaced. Our previous name was as a Aryan. Right now that is Kazi. Okay, now that is actually display as a Kazi. I am display it in here, so you can replace it. You cannot able to update it directly. So as I told you friend, these all that our data, that is a local storage data, it's saved in our here, right? If you want to here, that is a display into the console, and if you also go to that application, into this application, and that is a local storage, right? Here I have saved this data. If you now go, you can see it's now successfully saved both of this data. That is a key, and then that is the value. Okay friend, now there is a age I have inserted as a 50, and name I have inserted as a Kazi. And this data will be saved on here. If you remove this total browser, if you close this browser, it doesn't matter. It should be saved all the data. Like I show you, if you now click as a close, I am simply close it, and now I want to run our server again. Click as a live server again. Our server is now running, and now if you go to that inspect, into the inspect, if you go again to the application, into this application, you can see this data is already in here. So if you want to remove it, then they have the another method. Better I want to continue this process. In our next video, I will show you that things with the live example. Hello friend, welcome back. In your previous video, I have discussed about that things with you, how can you store some of the data in our local storage, and also how can update this data and how can get this data, right? So now in this video, I want to discuss about if you want to remove a specific some of the key, how can remove it, and also if you want to clean out this total local storage, how can do that work. I will show you that things with the live example. For education purpose, I want to remove our this name. That means that is the one of the key, and I want to remove this key. If you want to remove it, then we have to do here. Right now, I want to do better. I want to make it as a comment out. Okay, I make it as a comment out because I have already stored some of the data. Right, I have already stored some of the data in our application, and that is our local storage. So from here, if you want to remove it, a specific one of the item, then that will be the local storage, and then there is a remove item. that is one of the method as a remove item. And this remove item here, it should be pass one of the parameter. If you put your cursor, you can see it's now pass one of the parameter as a key. That means here you have to write down your key name. I want to do and to remove our like as a name. Okay, for the name, our key name as a name, you have to add this name. Okay, that means the key name. When you add that as a name, then automatically that will be remove this item. If you now click as a save all, and now if you go click as a here refresh it, now you can see it's now totally gone. That means our name is gone. And if you want to remove it directly from here, you can remove it by this delete button, rather than they have also another cross button. Okay, from here if you want to delete it, you can also delete it. Okay, now our total local storage is empty. And now if you want to remove total things at a time, then you can also do that work. For doing this, better first of all I want to make it as a comment out, and I make it as a open, because here right now I want to store some of the data. If you now click as a save all, and now if you go click as a refresh, now that will be inserted, right? That will be inserted, that name and then age. Right now I want to remove both of this. I want to make these things as a clean. Then they have the another method as a clear method. It's very simple. Right now again I make it as a comment out, and then here that will be as a local storage, and then only you have to call one of the method as a clear method. So with this clear method, that will be clear everything from our local storage. Okay, now I have already run it. Click as a save all. Now go there, everything should be gone. Click as a refresh, you can see everything is totally gone. Okay friends, this is very important one of the part. Make that sure you understand it. That is very easy, as I told you. So that is a local storage, how can insert some of the data, how can update this data, how can get this data, and also remove a specific some of the key value, and also how can make it as a clean. Everything I hope is very much clear to you. Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, I have discussed about that things with you, how can insert some of the data in your local storage, how can remove this data, and also how can make it as a clear, right? Now in this video, I want to do like before I insert this data with the set item, and into the set item it should be passed two of this parameter. One is the key, another is the value, and both of these should be as a string, right? But if you want to insert some of the object array data, then how can do that work? Like I show you, I want to remove everything. I want to call one of the variable as a constant variable, and I just name it as a users. And for the users, I want to create one of the object. Okay, here I want to pass one of the array object data. So I name it as a name, and then I name it as a Kazi. Okay, I make it as a Kazi, and then also I pass another one as a age. Okay, age will be as a 40. I make it as a 40. Great. So that is our one of the array data, and also I want to take multiple one. I copy it and then I paste it. That will be as a Aryan. Okay, that will be as a Aryan, and for the Aryan I make it as a 30. Okay, I make it as a 30. So now that is one of the object array data. And now if you want to store this data, so it should be directly not inserted. Because of all why, I hope you already remember, because both of these should be as a string. So if you first of all here we have to make it as a string. So if you want to do that work, we can do that work with using that JSON. Right, so with the JSON string file, we can make it as a string, and also if you want to make it as a string to the object, then we can do that work with using that JSON first. Right, I have already discussed about that things with you. Now let's check this out. I want to first of all change it. Okay, that means the console. There is a console into the console log. So into the console log. Now if you want to change it, so that will be as a JSON. There is a JSON data, and then another method as a string file. Right, with this string file method here, if you pass this object name, I make it as a users. Right, so that is our object name. Now what data that will be print? Like if you don't click as a save all, now if you go to that console, now refresh it, now you can see that is one of the string value data. Right, that is the double quote. You can see now that is every data is now become double quote. Okay, now it's displayed with the double quote, and with this JSON string file you can actually do that work. Right, so now I want to storage our this data. That means our this object data I want to storage in our local storage. So if you want to do that work, then what exactly you have to do? Better I make it as a comment out, and then I want to do in our local, okay, that is a local storage. Into this local storage with the set item we have to insert it, right? That is our set item method, and here I want to pass one of the key and then the value. Our key will be, I name it one of the key as a users, okay, and then I want to pass that our value. Our value I have already checked it with our JSON string file. I make this object data to the string, right? So that will be our value, and you can see our value should be as a string. I want to make it as again the JSON and then the string file method. So that is a JSON string file method, and then our object name. Our object name I name it as a users, right? So that is our users. So now if you click as a save all, if you now click as a save all, now this data should be inserted in our local storage. If you now refresh it, I refresh it. Now go to that application. Into the application, you can see that is our key as a user, and with this user here I pass all that our value, and you can see all that our value object are in the array is visible. There is a 0 index, there is a 1 index, okay, and every data is visible. There is an age and the name. Great. So now if you want to get this data, that means this value data, if you want to get it, then what exactly you have to do? There is another method as a get item, right? With this get item we can actually get it. Like if you go here, I want to make it as I take one of the variable as a constant variable, and I just name it as a user form, okay, user form, and into this user form that will be as a local storage, and then the get item method with this get item method I want to get that our users data, okay. So here I simply get that users data. And now if you want to check it, I want to print it. That will be the console log, okay, the console log. I want to print our this user form, and that is our user and then form, that is user form data, right? I want to print it. Now if you go click as a save all, now in our console, into the console, if you now refresh it, now you can see it's now successfully get all the data from our local storage, and now it's visible in here. But right now that is the string type, right? Here we have to change it. So now with this we cannot able to access our all that object data. So here if you want to change it, then what exactly you have to do? We have to change it, right? We have to make it as a string to the object. So if you want to make it as a string to the object, there is another method as a JSON first, right? I want to use it. Right now I want to change it, okay. Here if you want to change it, that will be in our console log. Into this console log area, this user form I want to change as a JSON. So first of all that will be as a JSON, and then the first, okay, JSON first. So with this JSON first here I want to pass our which value data, that is user form data, right? I have already get that user form data from which place. I get all the data from our local storage. If you go to that application, into the application, that is our local storage data, right? Here I have already get this data, take the things with this variable. Now I change this data with the JSON first, and if you go to that console, you can see before that was a string. Now if you save it, I want to click as a save all, and now if you go click as a refresh, now that should be changed. Yes, you can see now there is a 2 array data. One is the 0 index as a Kazi, and another is as Aryan. So now you are able to access this data. I hope friend you get some of the idea how all that functionality actually working. Okay, it's very simple, just simply you have to understand it. Better I want to recap it again. Like I take one of the object, I want to insert some of the object data in our local storage. So if you want to insert it, that it might be as a string, right? For the reasons this object array data, I make it with the JSON string file. I make it as one of the string value, and then I insert this data in our local storage, right? And after that I get this data from our local storage, and then when I get this data from to the local storage, we get it as a string, because I have already changed that our object array data to the string, right? So now I get all that our string value data in here. So now if you want to make it as a string to the object, then we have to use it another method as a JSON first. So with this JSON first we change it, and now you can see it's now successfully get again our all that object array data. Okay, I hope it's very much clear to you. Hello friend, welcome back. In our all previous video I have discussed about that local storage, right? And also that is the another one as a session storage. If you go to that application, you can see there is a local storage, and also there is another one as a session storage. So in this video, I want to discuss about that session storage and what exactly the difference between the both of these as a local storage and the session storage. I hope everything will be more clear to you. Like right now I want to do in our local storage, there are one of the data, better I want to delete it. Okay, I simply delete it. Right now it's totally clean, and our session storage is also totally clean. And now if you go to our code, into this code, right now I remove everything, and here I want to first of all insert some of the data. So that is the session. You can see that is a session storage. So into the session storage, I want to do and to insert some of the data. So you can see, friend, that is the method is the same method. There is a get item. With this we can actually get some of the item from our storage, and then the remove item, with this we can remove it, and with the set item we are able to insert some of the data. You can see that is the method is the appropriately same, and if you select it, so into this set item it should be passed two of this parameter. One is the key, another is the value, and both of these should be as a string, right? So now I want to do and to pass one of the key as a name. Okay, I'm better I name it as a name, and I want to do and to pass one of the this name value. Value will be as a Kazi. Okay, I make it as a Kazi. Great. The functionality will be same, and also that is the same things I have done into the local storage. Better I want to compare both of these, then everything will be more clear. That is I want to use that as a set item. Okay, I want to set item, and here into the local storage I want to save another name. That is our key as a name, and string value I make it as a Aryan. Okay, I make it as Aryan. Simply understand what exactly the difference between both of these and how functionality exactly work. Our method will be same. Now with this set item, I want to store some of the key value data in our session storage, and also I have added another one as a local storage. Into the local storage it should be saved our name, that is a name, and also this name our value, right? And now if you click as a save all, and now if you go, now I'm to refresh it. Now you can see, friend, in our application and into the session, it successfully inserted that name as a Kazi, right? Into the session storage. Into the session storage, I name it as a name. Our key will be as a name, and value will be as a Kazi. For the reasons, it's now successfully inserted this data, which is totally fine. And if you want to delete it, you can delete it from here. And also you can call that same clear method that will be executed. And if you now go to our local storage, into the local storage, you can see it's also successfully inserted this data as a name and then the Aryan. Here if you go into the local storage, I use the set item method, I inserted that key name and then that is our value, right? It's successfully inserted. Now what exactly difference between both of these? Like when that is our local storage data and that is our session storage data. If you close this total browser, then our this session storage data will be removed. But in our local storage data, that will be remaining in here. Okay, I show you, like right now I want to close it, and now I want to make it as a comment out. Okay, rather than it should be insert this data. Now I want to make it as a save all. Now go to index HTML. I want to open our server, and now if you go to that inspect, okay, if you go to that inspect, if you go to that application, into the application in a local storage, you can see the data is the same as a name and then Aryan. That means this data is not deleted. I have already removed this browser, but this data is saved. But if you now go to our session storage, and if you go to that session storage area, here you can see into the session storage, before I have also inserted some of the data, right? I have also inserted that name as a Kazi. But when you remove this browser, then all that our session storage data will be gone. But in our local storage data will be remaining. Okay, so that is a pretty much basic main concept between our local storage data and then session storage data. So literally we'll work more in particular that position. I hope, friend, you get some of the idea what exactly the difference between the local storage and then the session storage. Okay.